Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Steelers reporter expects surprising move at QB to protect Kenny Pickett. The Pittsburgh Steelers could take an unexpected approach to their quarterback situation this offseason. At least, that's what one reporter believes right now. On his January 22nd episode of the Madden Monday podcast, Mark Madden predicted that the Steelers would let Mason Rudolph leave in free agency to protect Kenny Pickett. "If you made me bet on that, it would be Josh Dobbs," Madden said. "I think they'll let Mason Rudolph go because the minute Pickett has a bad game, the fans will clamor for Rudolph to come in. The Steelers don't want any real pressure, no real competition. So no matter what Tomlin says in that regard, Pickett is the number one. Somebody who's not on the roster right now is number two. Everything that's going to happen this offseason is preordained." The situation Madden is talking about playing out if the Steelers keep Rudolph wouldn't be anything new for Pennsylvania sports fans. Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate before a knee injury ended his 2017 season. Nick Foles started the last 3 regular season games and went on to win that year's Super Bowl. The following year, there were frequent calls for Foles to take over until a Wentz injury made it a reality. Wentz never reached that MVP level again. Pickett obviously hasn't reached that same level, but frequent calls for a different QB could similarly stunt his development. Instead, it seems Madden believes another familiar face will get the backup role. Madden's prediction on Rudolph also included his prediction that Josh Dobbs would be the team's backup in 2024. Dobbs would give the team another familiar face on the bench. The veteran QB has actually already had 2 stints with the franchise. He was drafted by the Steelers in 2017, but they traded him 2 years later after he lost the backup job to Rudolph. He was brought back in 2020 and spent 2 seasons with the team before hitting free agency again. The 2023 season was a very uneven one for Dobbs. He impressed early in the season as he kept the Cardinals surprisingly competitive while they waited for the return of Kyler Murray. Once Murray returned, he was traded to the Vikings and led the team to a win just 5 days after joining the team. By the end of the season, he had fallen behind both Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall to become the team's 3rd stringer. Now he could potentially become the Steelers' backup again so that Pickett doesn't have to face a threat to his job. Even if the Steelers decide that bringing Rudolph back could end up being an issue if Pickett struggles, the team still needs to bring in somebody that can give him actual competition for the job. Pickett needs to be pushed to continue improving during the offseason, or the team is going to continue to fall short of achieving anything truly meaningful. The Steelers also need a contingency plan in case Pickett is injured or just plays badly in 2024. The free agent class isn't overly inspiring, but there are a couple of interesting names out there who could push the young QB without getting the same backing from fans that Rudolph would. Gardner Minshew didn't make a ton of money in 2023, but got the Colts within a game of the playoffs. He has been viewed as a backup for most of his career, but is at least somebody that Pickett would actually have to beat for the job. Ryan Tannehill could give Pickett some unique insight as his backup. Tannehill wasn't an immediate success after being drafted 8th overall, but turned things around and eventually made a Pro Bowl. He struggled in 2023, but had little to work with in Tennessee. Pickett should be able to outplay him in the preseason, but he wouldn't be a bad option to have as a backup. The Steelers don't need to keep Rudolph around if they think it will hurt Pickett's develop, but they still need somebody that can challenge their struggling QB and hopefully bring the best out of him. What's the case against Terrell Austin? Some have offered a different view, suggesting Pittsburgh should fire Austin and find someone else to lead the defense, at least in title, given the strong influence Tomlin has on that side of the football. While there have been calls to fire Austin, there hasn't been a suitable explanation as to why. I'm all for hearing out the case. Maybe there's an element of his game, his strategy, his scheme, that is harming the defense to the point where he needs to leave. So far, I can't find it. For all the junk Pittsburgh dealt with this season, the Steelers' defense hung in there. They lost their top 2 inside linebackers, Cole Holcomb and Quan Alexander, in consecutive weeks. Elandon Roberts played hurt the final month. It's a shock he even suited up at all. They pulled Michael Walker off the street and Miles Jack off the couch and did their best to make it work. Safety was just as problematic. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Keanu Neal, and Trenton Thompsons were all injured in a span of weeks. Heck, Damontae Kazee was ejected one play, and Fitzpatrick injured the next against the Indianapolis Colts. Literally running out of able and available bodies, they shifted Patrick Peterson from corner to a full-time safety role and plucked Eric Rowe off the free agent pile. Peterson handled the switch, and Rowe legitimately played well in a downhill/box role. For a team decimated down the middle, it had a domino effect everywhere. Not just in personnel, like NCB Shandon Sullivan playing a much larger role while S. Miles Killebrew logged dime snaps. But in structure, too. Communication was strained, and the playbook had to be simplified to basic forms, allowing new faces and younger players to pick things up. Injuries can't be used as a crutch. Literally, they can, but not for job security. But Pittsburgh's defense still held up despite the wave of ailments. They bent but never broke, and the overall output for the circumstances exceeded expectations. Pittsburgh called game on the goal line to seal wins against the Tennessee Titans and Green Bay Packers, while using game-changing goal line moments to prevail over teams like the Baltimore Ravens. CCB Joey Porter Jr.'s jump ball interception in what was a massive moment. Peter King has two names for Mike Tomlin to consider for vacant offensive coordinator position. We can't really say that we're in uncharted waters for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, they are looking for a new offensive coordinator, but it's not for the first time in recent years. They had a coordinator search in 2018 and then in 2021. They didn't look very far before arriving at their choice, so in that sense this round should be different. But the point is it would be going too far to suggest a coordinator search is unfamiliar. Pete's is more interesting and less common name. At 39 years old, he already has a lengthy coaching history, and on top of that, even some scouting experience. For the past 2 seasons, he has been a passing game specialist for the Los Angeles Rams. In other words, he's worked directly with Robinson, who is Sean McVay's quarterbacks coach and passing game coordinator. But Pete's has plenty of experience, even if never as offensive coordinator except briefly at LSU in 2021. He was quarterbacks coach for the Carolina Panthers and the Oakland Raiders, and also held assistant quarterback coach jobs elsewhere. He has been a running backs coach and a quality control coach. For 3 years, he was a scout for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Back in college, he was a special teams coordinator and safeties coach and a strength and conditioning coordinator all at the same time. He has worn many hats, safe to say. Coaches from the McVay coaching tree are certainly popular. For that matter, so are those from Kyle Shanahan's, of which Kubiak is one. 4 of McVay's former assistants have earned head coaching jobs, including 3 currently, Brandon Staley having recently been fired by the Los Angeles Chargers. Shanahan has 3 former assistants who are currently head coaches as well. Could the Steelers be the latest team to add a branch to the tree? If their reported interest in Robinson is genuine, then the interest is there. Odds are they will try to explore a number of candidates this round as they try to get it right. It will be interesting to see just who they're looking at, though, and neither of these names would shock me. And you fan, what do you think of the Klint Kubiak situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.